This is Grunt to Groan, sales lessons learned from professional wrestling. Coming to you from the fabulous Delaware Wrestling Thunderdome, I'm your host, Benjamin Burrows.
I am one voice that stands alone. I am one choice to man the throne. Stand guard and take shots, give it all I got. All I got is this microphone. I am
Reach for the sky, boy.
Hey, everybody, this is Billy Gunn.
Hi, this is Glasgow, Delaware Kit Kat.
Hey, it's me, the mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart.
This is the Birdman Coco Beware.
In Macho Madness, yeah. Growing, and more seductive than sex.
To me, they are the greatest tag team in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Matt and Nick Jackson, the Young Bucks.
Hey, this is the NWA World Heavyweight Wrestling Champion, the National Treasure, Nick Holden.
Woo! It's the Nature Boy. Woo!
While you may see me out there shaking my ass, you can guarantee on May 25th, I'll be kicking it too.
This is Tito Santana, WWE Hall of Famer.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome one of the founding fathers of All In, the executive vice president of All Elite, Cody!
And what you gonna do when Hulkamania and the largest arms in the world destroy you?
Hi, folks out there. I'm Princess Clark, and I never listen to Grunt to Groan with Benjamin Burrows.
Hey, there you have it. Nobody listening to Grunt to Groan, sales lessons learned from professional wrestling. Nobody but you. And I am so grateful and thankful that you've taken the time out of your busy day to listen to Grunt to Groan, sales lessons learned from professional wrestling. I'm your host, Benjamin Burrows. We are coming to you from the fabulous Delaware Wrestling Thunderdome. It is beautiful. The sun is shining. The weather is warming. It is a great day to get out and sell your products and sell your services. For you are the great American thunder on which this nation rolls, because nothing happens until something is sold, until you get out there and you sell it. Man, did Princess Clark sound a little pissed off or what? Hi, I'm Princess Clark, and I never listen to Grunt to Groan. Wow. Hey, here's a little music right here from Lucas Nelson and The Promise of the Real. This is from the Star is Born soundtrack. Lucas, one of my favorite artists, as is his father, Willie Nelson. Figure I'd check this out just a little bit, give them some big props on the success of the film, A Star is Born. Bradley Cooper, Lady Gaga, and these guys right here, Lucas Nelson and The Promise of the Real. So this is Grunt to Groan, sales lessons learned for professional wrestling. Again, thank you for taking time out of your busy day to hang out with us and to listen to the podcast. Just want to say thank you to the tens and tens of followers that we have. I want to thank you for hanging out with us once a week and taking the time out of your busy day to give us some love. Hey, don't forget, you can pick up the book Grunt to Groan, Sales Lessons Learned from Professional Wrestling. You can pick it up on the .coms. I would appreciate it if you would pick it up. We need all the financial help that we can get here with this fine outfit known as the Grunt to Groan Project. You know, Dave the Ray, our producer, does this and doesn't charge me a dime. My crack staff, who does all the research and everything for me, all the marketing online, they're doing this pro bono, not for one dime. Not for one dime. Now, we would like to change that, and the only way we can is if you buy a book or you buy a piece of merchandise. And you can find them at Amazon.com, all the .coms. If you would, purchase a book, purchase a T-shirt, and support the Grunt to Groan Nation while you're doing it. Also, if you're interested in advertising, that's right, advertising right here on this elite podcast. You can do that by emailing me at greatamericanthunder@gmail.com, greatamericanthunder@gmail.com. You, too, can reach the tens and tens of followers that we have right here on the Grunt to Groan podcast. We might have more than tens of tens. We might be at 12s and 12s at this point, but we're going to keep it at 10s to 10s because it sounds a lot cooler that way. I do want to thank some folks for taking time out of their day for listening. We do follow the analytics of this podcast very closely, and we find that most, our highest percentage of followers come from these great cities, and I want to thank all of you who are following in these great cities. New York City. That's right, New York City. We gain a share of our audience, I would say about 40% out of New York City. That's followed by Baltimore, Maryland, and then Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Denver, Colorado. To all my friends in the Mile High City, how you guys doing out there? Spent some time out in Denver when I worked for a manufacturer out there, and have been back several times. So hi to all my friends in Denver. Houston, Texas. I love the great state of Texas. Want to thank you guys for following us. San Diego. Love San Diego. Spent quite a bit of time in San Diego. Love it out there. Thank you, Detroit. Orange County, California, and Orlando, Florida. That's where we're getting a bulk of our followers on the podcast. I want to thank these fine folks are coming from some great companies across the country. I have followers from great companies like Nilfisk Advance. They manufacture Jansan equipment, a great organization. SC Johnson. I want to thank all the folks who listen to me from SC Johnson. Johnson Controls and Tennant Company, the Middle Bay Corporation, Rubbermaid. So I want to thank you guys. Karcher North America. I know I have a lot of listeners and followers from Karcher North America, so thank you very much. If you would like to advertise and reach the tens and tens of followers that we do have in these great cities and these great companies, just email me at greatamericanthunder@gmail.com. We'll send you some rates. We'll put together a commercial for you, and we'll see if we can't help you enhance your brand by being a part of the Grunt to Groan Nation. And if you want to reach me direct, you can at greatamericanthunder@gmail.com. I have no filters there, no screeners. I answer each and every email that comes through. Want to say hello to the West Virginia weatherman who's hanging out down in Ocean City. He sells down there and listens to the podcast. Had an opportunity to have lunch with him this past week, the West Virginia weatherman. And if you'd like to be a part of our opening, if you'd like to be one of the folks who say, I don't listen to Grunt to Groan, like Princess Clark.
This is Princess Clark, and I never listen to Grunt to Groan.
Just record something on your phone and excuse me, and email it to me, or that tickled my throat when I did that. Or if you don't know how to do that, email, and we'll set it up. We'll get you recorded. So I want to jump into the podcast this week. You know, it is the second week of the month, and we always do a book review on the second week of the month. And, you know, I always want to do a review of Grunt to Groan, sales lessons learned from professional wrestling, and the staff tells me that that's just tacky for me to do that. So they won't allow me to do that. So in our book review this week, I'm going to be reading excerpts from Grunt to Groan to better present our book of the month for this month, the month of March 2019. And our book of the month this month is entitled The Road Warriors, Danger, Death, and the Rush of Wrestling. Written by Joe the Animal Laurinaitis. That's right, The Road Warriors, Danger, Death, and the Rush of Wrestling.
What a rush!
Now, for those of you who may not follow professional wrestling, the Road Warriors are considered probably the most dominant professional wrestling tag team ever put together. Now, you could argue they're one of the greatest tag teams of all time. I'm sure that Bully Ray from the Dudleys and Devon would argue that. Bully Ray on the Busted Open program on Sirius XM with Dave LaGreca, they probably would argue, because the Dudleys were a great tag team, no doubt about it. The Hart Foundation, a great tag team. Demolition, who doesn't get a lot of credit, a great tag team. But I think that the greatest of them all was the Road Warriors, Hawk and Animal. And this book, if you're not a professional wrestling fan, is very interesting because it teaches the power of a great partnership. The power of partnerships and the heights that can be reached if you find great partners. There they are, the Road Warriors, and oh, what a rush. Thanks, Dave, for interrupting my thought. But it is true that great tag teams are great partners, and the Road Warriors were great partners. And as sales professionals, from reading a book about the rise and the rush of the Road Warriors, what can you learn? Well, you can learn that great partnerships are not easy to find, they're not easy to maintain, and they're not easy to keep. And as sales professionals, we shouldn't be looking for customers. As a matter of fact, I kind of grit my teeth when I hear sales management talk about customers. We got customers. We got a customer here. We got a customer there. No, we have clients. And clients, to me, the difference between a customer and a client is that clients are willing to partner with you. They're willing to partner with you with the products that you represent and the services that you represent, but they're willing to partner with you long term on what your goals are and what their goals are. I refer to all of my clients as client partners, and I want to know more about them and what they're trying to achieve, what they're trying to achieve as an organization, and what my contact is trying to achieve professionally and personally. And having client partners, means there's an investment one to another. The interesting thing about the Road Warriors and what you learn in this book is that both of these men were at a point in their professional wrestling careers as single performers. They were at a point where they were going to give up. They were just going to stop. They'd had enough of professional wrestling. They weren't successful. And then a chance meeting, a chance pairing produced this great partnership, the Road Warriors. Now, in my book, I talked about how these two men were different. Yes, they were both big and they were bulky, but they trained differently. One trained with heavy weights to put on bulk. They were a little slower. One trained with lighter weights and more reps because they were a little faster. One was slow and strong. One was fast and lean. And although when you look at them, You really can't tell that difference, but that was a difference between the two. Their strengths and weaknesses offset one another. You know, a lot of people don't realize this, that not only were the Road Warriors a successful partner in the professional wrestling ring, they were also very successful in business, and not just the business of professional wrestling. It was the Road Warriors who actually came up with the idea of the Zumba's pants. Now, if you're a fan of the 1980s, you will remember the Zumba's pants. They were the really wild-colored striped, tiger-striped pants that had Velcro that attached them together. And the idea of this clothing line, the line was actually approved by the NFL. They made Zumbas for every NFL team in professional football. Killian McMurphy, the shooter, a local independent wrestler, still sports, when he goes to the ring, a pair of Zumba's pants. And the idea for the whole clothing line came about because the Road Warriors had gotten so big that they couldn't find workout gear to fit them. They were big and muscular. Joe Laurinaitis, he had a hard time finding comfortable clothes. Joe is the animal. Had a hard time finding comfortable clothes to work out in. This was a problem not uncommon with most bodybuilders. So when he showed up at the famed Twin Cities gym in Minneapolis, Minnesota, the home of many great professional wrestlers, Jesse the Body Ventura, Kurt Hennig, the Road Warriors. So when he showed up at the famed Twin Cities gym wearing a pair of baggy pants that he had purchased while out on the road, he got noticed by his tag team partner, Hawk, and by eventual business partners, Dan Stock and Bob Truex. And they created the line Zumbas. And when this is from the book, this is from Joe Laurinaitis' book, The Road Warriors, Danger, Death, and the Rush of Wrestling. When we finally tested the first line of the Zumba's pants in Twin Cities gym, the response was overwhelming. In the first month alone, selling exclusively out of our own pro shop, we totaled over $13,000 in revenue. Not bad, but it was only the beginning. So when you think of the Road Warriors, you think of them as a great professional wrestling tag team. You don't necessarily think of them as great businessmen. But they created a multi-million-dollar line in Zumbas. As a sales professional, there's a lot to be learned from partnerships. The first point that I made, and this is from my book, Grunt to Groan, Sales Lessons Learned for Professional Wrestling, is stop looking for customers and start looking for client partners, people who will invest in you, and people and companies and clients that you can invest in. And understand that good partnerships need time to grow. They started Zumba's pants in their local gym, and it grew to become a 1980s phenomenon, branded throughout the NFL. The Road Warriors, by chance, became partners. And they grew into one of the most dominant tag teams in the history of professional wrestling. So good partnerships need time to grow. So now you're looking for client partners and understanding that you are going to need time for that partnership to grow. You're going to need time to understand what their goals are, what their objectives are, what their issues have been. And they're going to need time to get to know you and the products and the services that you represent. So understand, good partnerships aren't going to happen overnight. They're going to need time to grow. Understand that good partnerships know and understand the power of their combined strengths and their individual weaknesses. Again, the Road Warriors, slow and strong, fast and lean. Good partnerships are willing to take risk. So you find a client partner, you know it's going to take time to grow. You understand your combined strengths and your individual weaknesses. And now are you willing to take risk? Are you willing to present solutions that might be out of the box? Is your client partner willing to listen to solutions that might be out of the box? Again, the Road Warriors, when they first came about, dressed in the leather, changing their hairs, to the mohawk and then the inverted mohawk. This was all brand new. Professional wrestling had not seen anything like the Road Warriors. And they were willing to take risk in adding makeup. They were willing to take risk by adding the spiked vest and then the spiked shoulder pads. Good partnerships will swap ideas and brainstorm. I met with a client last week and we were trying to come up with a solution to a problem that they had been having. And the meeting went for about 2 hours. And I can honestly say we didn't come out of that meeting on a decided solution. We spent that meeting brainstorming and swapping ideas. Could this work? Could that work? Spitballing. That's what we call swapping ideas and brainstorming in baseball. When we were coming up with strategies and lineups, we were spitballing ideas. Don't be afraid to have a brainstorming session with your client partners. As a matter of fact, my client appreciated the fact that I was willing to spend so much time exchanging ideas and exploring ideas. And I'll couple that with good partnerships will use good ideas. So in that brainstorming and that spitballing and that swapping of ideas, you're going to come up with good ideas. And good client partners are willing to use the good ideas. From the book, Why People Fail, The 16 Obstacles to Success and How You Can Overcome Them, by Simon Reynolds. Here is solid advice when it comes to brainstorming, spitballing, swapping ideas. 10 brains are better than one. Peak performers expand their own knowledge base by bringing others into their world as counselors, idea generators, or critics of their very own concepts. What else can be learned from the book, The Road Warriors, Danger, Death, and the Rush of Wrestling? Good partnerships grow stronger despite setbacks. Now, Joe Laurinaitis writes in his book, The Road Warriors, that they had created a costume of spiked vest. It was very innovative at the time. No other professional wrestlers had anything like it. It was a trademark for the Road Warriors. A trademark that no one could duplicate.
What a rush!
And the Road Warriors were disappointed when their van was broken into and the vests were stolen. As of this day, Laurinaitis has no idea where those vests are. They could be anywhere in the world. Now, this was their trademark, the spiked vest. You knew they were the Road Warriors. And despite this setback, despite the fact that these vests were stolen, the Road Warriors could have easily faced setback. But they didn't. That got Laurinaitis to thinking, we had vests with spikes. What would happen if we had shoulder pads with spikes? So we contacted a friend at Rydell who manufactured shoulder pads. He had a set sent to him. He started to experiment with how to mount spikes. He had spikes created for the shoulder pads. They would screw in. He painted them. He polished the spikes. And the next generation of the Road Warriors was born. The Road Warriors with the shoulder pads, the spikes, the Legion of Doom. From a setback came an elevation of their careers that catapulted them into being the most dominated professional wrestling tag team of their time. Good partnerships grow stronger despite setbacks. So when you have a setback with your client, it's not the end of the world. How can you grow from that? How can you move the negative to positive? As your mother would say, let's make lemonade out of lemons. And with that, good partnerships also adjust. They adjust their thinking. They adjust their products. They adjust. They adjust to grow. And I'm going to leave you with this right here. Good partnerships change the landscape of the marketplace. You see, the Road Warriors changed professional wrestling tag team forever. They changed tag teams forever. After the Road Warriors, there is no going back. None. You saw clones come up. The Powers of Pain, Demolition. Even the fabulous Freebirds donned face paint when they battled the Road Warriors. So that's going to conclude our review of the book, The Road Warriors, Danger, Death, and the Rush of Wrestling. You can pick it up at barnesandnoble.com. You can pick it up on walmart.com. You can pick it up just about anywhere. I have a hard copy of the book. And when you read the book, I want you to keep in mind growing client partnerships. That's what you're looking for. That's what you want to do. You want to have client partnerships. And you'll gain more insight to partnerships by reading the book, The Road Warriors, Danger, Death, and the Rush of Professional Wrestling.
What a rush!
And with that, we're going to end this episode 36. Can you believe that? Episode 36 of Grunt to Groan, Sales Lessons Learned from Professional Wrestling. Hey, don't forget, you can email me at greatamericanThunder@gmail.com. I will respond to each and every email. Tell me your thoughts, your criticisms, the positives, the negatives. You can also follow me on Twitter at Great American Thunder, at Real Benjamin Burrows. And you can connect with me on LinkedIn at Benjamin Burrows. Feel free to do that. Thank you for taking the time to listen to Grunt to Groan, Sales Lessons Learned from Professional Wrestling. And remember, you are the Great American Thunder on which this nation rolls, because nothing happens until something is sold. So quit listening to me. Get out there. Sell something.
I am one voice that stands alone. I am one choice to man the throne. Stand guard and take shots. Give it all I got. All I got is this microphone.